When they went into Chernobyl to check out people's health, they looked at micronuclei, fragments of cells that had been exploded by exposure to the radiation. That same marker is used for cell phone and wireless radiation. Works either way. The cell phone damage, I've got pictures in my book, the damage to the cells is exactly the same. You have a picture of a healthy cell. It's this bright orb, beautiful, and then it's hit with X-rays, nuclear radiation, or cell phone tower radiation, all the same, and the cell reacts the same way. It explodes and it gets this comet trail of fragments. That's the micronuclei. The body also releases, I mentioned, proteins, stress proteins, in reaction to this heat damage, trying to protect itself. Problem is, it also protects cancer cells. We're talking about false flag operations here, and I would suggest that disinformation concerning cell phones and other wireless radiations are yet another false flag operation in the service of governments, corporations, and the banks that back them. The dangers are mostly hidden, and it's certainly extreme. And our watchdogs, at least in the United States, the people that set EMF exposure guidelines, one of the co-chairs is from Motorola, and another is an officer in the U.S. Navy, making sure that all these limits are continuously raised so that we can keep boosting the power levels. Just like the global warming studies paid for by big oil, cell phone manufacturers are raking in $40 billion a year, and they're employing people like Burson Marsteller of the Bhopal whitewash infamy to spread claims attacked by their own researchers as dangerous fallacies. These fake cell phone studies are still being produced by prostitute scientists who accept the big bucks and even bigger karma, I bet, for skewing their results. Those studies are bogus, and in my book I go in and dismember some of the more prominent ones that just happen to omit most cell phone users, most corporate cell phone users, most portable cell phone users, or in the case of the Interphone study, their control group uses cell phones and portable phones. Fortunately, we have the king and queen of all studies, the BioInitiative report. And these folks, scientists around the world, looked at 1,500 scientific studies, clinical data. They put it all together, and they came up with their findings based on decades of research. And they released those findings in August 2007. I wondered why you haven't heard of the BioInitiative report. It's pretty big news in Europe. And they said it's not the total energy associated with the EMF, electromagnetic fields, that is critical, but rather the regular oscillations of the simulating force. Magnetic fields as low as 2 milligauss, that's very low by the way, or a millionth of a Tesla, whatever that is, a millionth of a chocolate chip cookie, can produce biological effects. Using a cell phone or a personal data assistant exposes you to magnetic pulses peaking at several tens of microchip cookies, tens of micro Tesla, when a millionth is hazardous. I'll just wrap up quickly by mentioning cell phone shields. Everybody wants to keep doing what they're doing, and we want to make it all right. Okay, when I have a little technical fix, chemtrails, cell phone shields, and make it all right. I'm here to say it's not all right. The fixes are not making it all right. The only way to fix the problem is to change our minds, our practices, our priorities, and our behavior. If the cell phone shield works, folks, your phone won't work. If your phone works, the cell phone shield isn't work. And while people are sticking the magic crystals on all their phones and everything else, they are making excuses for more microwave towers to be put in place to irradiate the rest of us. And there are no shields for microwave towers. We mentioned the hands-free phones, bad news. In a car, has to greatly increase energy to get out of that Faraday cage. I recommend the precautionary principle. European governments are turning to this. They insist that all new technologies must be shown to do no harm before being allowed in public. In other words, Don't mess with things like the cell phone in your pocket that you don't entirely understand. Use a landline, use a wired computer router. Campaign to get these towers removed. There's great changes in the wind overseas, and I hope those winds blow here. The Federal Assembly of the Swiss Parliament just proposed a bill to reduce the level of exposure to non-ionizing, non-burning radiation, to forbid by law installation of cell phone towers near churches, schools, and other sensitive places. That'll be just about everywhere. To give local authorities the power to designate areas with a low level of radiation, safe areas, areas of respite, with limits 10 times lower than currently permitted. And finally, an obligation to label all wireless devices with an accurate assessment of their radiation emissions. In September 2007, quickly now, the German government, citing severe health risks, said officially that citizens ought to minimize their use of all wireless technology. They advised citizens to use corded phones, not cordless phones, and warned of general electrosmog from other appliances. Israel went even further. Check this out. The Communication and Environment Ministries recently banned cellular companies from marketing cell phones and portable phones in the house and wireless interconnections in the home because of radiation concern. Banned by the government of Israel. Why? Well, the head of the radiation arm in the Environment Ministry said, I'm afraid we need to erect thousands of more of these antennas to operate all these devices in the homes, and our radiation will just go up off the scale. He said, when we're talking on the phone in the house, it can be done with wired communication. There's no excuse. There's no justification, his words, to use a wireless phone or portable phone in the house. So he ordered companies to stop marketing those home systems immediately. So finally, let's bring it back home. Ever since the very first musicians and mystics attempted to replicate the tone of source, check out the didgeridoo, for example, we have come to see that all life is in fact a sacred vibration. By remaining in harmony with these vibrations, we retain our physical and our spiritual health. By jamming them with these towers of Babel, we descend into dissonance and physical dissolution. The question posed by our choice is whether we will choose convenience or life. As my friend Misha says, think about it and you don't need it. Thank you.